Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone to the Conservation and Heritage Advisory Committee for 6th of July. We have, and you all have an agenda before you, I hope. We have some apologies. I've got apologies from Councillor Smale, Chris Collinson and Vice Chair Paul McCock. Anybody else, Lindsay?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, Chris Wardle.
Oh, Chris Wardle, thank you. I don't have any late items that I'm aware of. Lindsay? Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest, we have one, Max, in relation to Wilderslow House. You'd be kind enough to step outside when we get to that. Of course. Thank you very much. Turning to the minutes then of the previous meeting. 8th of June, just to confirm you've all seen those and you accept they're a true record. And I'll propose that to Max to second that. Thank you. And you've also got a list of items that were determined since the last meeting. So hopefully that's you've seen that and that's all of interest. Also, applications not being considered. The list is with you for information. So if there are no issues to raise, we ought to move straight on to the applications to be considered today. Right. Chloe, if you would please, we'll start with 45 Church Street. Thank you.
Right, I'm seeing this is the building application for planning application before in January. It's obviously, so I'm sure you'll all remember when it came to me before. Take you through quickly the proposals and showing the changes that have been made to the proposal. So, where this is on Church Street, Little Over, grade 2, so grade 2. So we've got a plan of the site, so the existing on the slide, previous plans, so on this proposal, you can see that no changes in warranties or extension of the roof view of the single-storey extension. There's no proposed change from the last version of plans to do the garage, nor the outbuilding, or there'll be some changes to elevation to. So, in terms of elevations to street view, the changes are cladding to the ground floor extension, which is now proposed to be lightened from what was previously proposed, visually lighting, and a vertical board inside very large. The gates are now proposed to be slightly different to previous, white painted tongue roof to the gates. That's the drawing. Elevations, you see existing, previously proposed, now proposed, that you've seen online within the application details. You can see in terms of those two elevations, the changes to material, to the single story extension, slight change to roof lines. The intention of the gable extension story still remains the proposal to the Points out there was a full height window or any practice window proposed to from full height to the southern elevation. That's been removed from the proposals. Floor. So there's been a couple of changes. One was to do with the layout downstairs WC. The window arrangement to a single story extension. Some downstand beams remaining where there were previous. One of very fine things to the proposal, which is the mentioned the window and the retaining door, so very quite minimal things to the previous version you saw. So top floor, second floor. So the proposal is still for an extension to a two-story roof extension to create some storage. The plan is proposing a hatch above the wall plate within the structure to access that storage space. In terms of other changes to the plan that you previously saw, there's changes to the roof lights in terms of their alignment and two rafters, and there's a removal of one of the roof lights that was previously proposed. Just a reminder of the space that we're looking at in terms of that's the location for hatching to the extension. Photographs showing the across the ceiling, and there are some non-line stuff on the previous slide. Information we provided the extent of existing roof timbers to be removed. Those which are proposed to be temporarily removed. The additional roof timbers reinstated roof timbers, so we'll see along with the location of the presenting an additional section to try to demonstrate the access arrangements and the timbers and the amount that we intend to do. And so there's no change which we saw. There's a slight removal of the along the front. Brick garage being replaced with a larger brick garage. The garden room at the bottom, the materials are proposed to be vertical boarding to match the single story extension. So these rooms have come in response to our yourselves and my comments that we've made.
Okay, thank you, Chloe. So Grade 2 listed building, it came to the committee in January this year. I'm sure you'll remember we made some comments at the time that were to do with that extending the roof up on the new extension such that the new roof meets the existing historic roof. So if you see at the top left, there's a clear articulation between the existing extension and the new principal roof, and their intention is to sort of join those two together with a new roof, which involves some disturbance to the existing historic roof to make that connection. It's only storage in there that they're looking to achieve. So, I think we had some concerns about that previously. We also made some comments about the nature of the garden room and the sort of heavy nature of it, both in terms of its cladding and also its lack of sort of articulation between it and the host building, if you like, because it is quite a contemporary, a modern solution. So they're clearly contrasting the two. So there's been a bit of change on that in proposing charred timber cladding, i.e. very black. Now proposing natural larch, which is lighter. But it's we were talking about a lot more kind of transparency, so I'm not sure that's come through. But I think those were the key comments. And I think that we did have a comment about the large window opening that they have actually removed from this scheme in the listed building. So that's changed. So comments, please.
I think to what extent does it read as a Grade 2 listed building after all these renovations have taken place? I mean, to me, it looks, even though they're trying to articulate it into the original building, to what extent will it alter the fact that it is a Grade 2 listed building? It's a general appearance and the mass of it. It's no longer a little cottage, is it? So that was my main concern last time, was the scale of development for a Grade 2 listed building.
I agree. After all that little extension, this, 200 years old, and it was done like that. Which is one of the reasons I suppose it's listed. To blend it in as proposed is actually turning a late 17th century cottage into almost like a new house. And I remember we didn't think much of the garden room last time. I don't feel that it's really. It seemed to inflict harm on a listed building.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Ian?
Yes, I've got a comment about the garage, because the elevation is showing just earlier on the view of the show what I was going to say. Yes, yeah. Couldn't understand the logic behind having the extension done in March and then the big double garage done in red brick. If you're going to do the extension in to show that it was a later addition, why would you change the materials and the garage to? I mean,
Is that any different to what was the case last time?
It's just being consistent. That's all.
It's the same that was proposed last time, and the last time you didn't raise it, so you said there was no issues with the garage, nor the garden, nor the principle of some material link between them. I think what we need to clarify is, I think what you're talking about is the kitchen extension, the single-storey extension, not to be confused with the building at the bottom.
Sorry, that's probably my fault. I think I
Just to
said
clarify.
garden. Yeah, I meant the extension. So just to be consistent, I mean, we didn't object previously to the garage or the detached garden.
It's quite a big.
Okay, any other comments?
I think I'm sort of fairly relaxed about the extensions for garage, but still I get this roof extension, and it does destroy the character of the building and for little purpose as well. I mean, just to add a bit of storage seems to a lot of trouble and expense and ruin the character and nature of the building.
Okay, and any comments in relation to the extension?
No.
Okay,
Councillor Chair, less concerned about the garden room, but is there a risk of damage to the existing roof structure by, so I understand it correctly, sort of running this one in Is there a risk of damage to the existing structure?
Yeah, some loss of fabric. I mean, we raised that very point
Right.
last time, and they've provided some more information and evidence, if you like, and in essence saying that there might be an image, Chloe, that you can flash up there, that the croc frame won't be disturbed. But I mean, in reality, they will be removing rafters to enable access into that space. So whilst the primary frame may not be altered, yeah, that shows it in fact very quite nicely. So the red on the top left is, I think, timbers that are being removed, and then the blue is obviously new timber. So yes, there will be certainly some change. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for the comments. I mean, I think in much of this is reiterating what we said last time, in that we think the alterations to the roof will adversely affect the character and appearance of the listed building. We're not really. We think that there should be a politer solution, much like the way the existing extension is treated, such that it stands off the host building and doesn't compromise that rather attractive roof, both inside and outside. So we don't see the justification for that extension as currently proposed, particularly in light of the fact that it's just providing storage, which one would imagine could be accessed through the loft hatch in the bathroom. The roof was sitting over that in the traditional way. And then I think also in terms of the extension, it feels a little bit incongruous in terms of its relationship to the existing listed building. We talked last time about better articulation if we're going for a sort of contrasting effect. There's a bit of sense that it kind of crashes into the listed building a little bit, and it could benefit from feeling much lighter, so that you get some sense that it has been added and it's there. You can clearly read the history. So I don't think we object in principle to an extension, but the detail and the resolution is troubling the committee. So on that basis, we're objecting still to the scheme on those grounds. Lindsay, I hope that's clear. Thank you. Thanks all. That takes us on to the next one, Chloe. Adjacent to the River Mill, Darley Abbey.
It's on the riverbank at Darley Abbey. So you see where it is, which is on the Darley Abbey side. So you can find those World Heritage sites within conservation and obviously within accepting highly graded listed buildings. So obviously, riverbank view, you can see this photograph. That's where it's located. And I should just add, it is a retrospective application to the works that we carried out, and carried out to provide some extra space and seating area. It was prompted by the pandemic to provide this extra space. We noticed that
Yes,
the environment agency painted on the application. Just run through. So these are information was provided within the application, the areas that we're considering under this application. So the proposal is for gravelled. I'll show some photographs shortly to show that the gravel does extend to this area. The proposal has been corrected because within the one statement it did talk about that it was going to be definite, which is contrary to what the plan suggests, and we've had clarification that it isn't decking, it's grass and gravel area that's part of this particular application. So just moving on, so this area is to be used in conjunction with the river mill, which was previously called the cotton shed. So just for clarification. The river mill, not to be confused with this part of this river. The cotton shedding. So the proposal is for fence lot area. Those means like fence range started. Objected because of its nearness to the fence, which is actually the wall that runs along the buildings. It's closest to the this is slowly actually proposed new railings. It's a timber fence off area, it is retrospective. Here's a photograph showing other fencing that they're proposing around this area, so they're proposing to replace it, install the estate fencing that's been installed elsewhere. Just to show you the current areas at the moment and the gravel surface. So this shows you come towards the manager's house. So this is at the higher level than the stone retaining wall. When it sets beyond. And here we're looking along the river towards Golden Bridge.
Okay, thanks, Chloe. So yeah, Riverside setting obviously hugely important and highly significant site. The work has been done already, some of it, but they're now looking to regularise things with an application to get consent for estate fencing at the water's edge. I mean, I should say the use of the buildings and the all of that is all extremely positive. And this has proven to be quite an attractive area for them, giving them a sort of extra dimension. But we have to think about impact on setting here. I guess personally, if that estate fence came in board from the river a little, it would certainly help because it sits right at the water's edge at the moment, which sort of increases its impact, I guess. But anyway, comments please from the committee.
Well, I suppose I'll declare sort of interest in the sense that I live on the opposite bank to this event. And speaking personally, it's an additional facility that does help businesses there thrive quite well otherwise. You know, use of the buildings is important. It's a fairly light touch use and it's easily reversible, which is important. Whilst it clearly wouldn't have looked like that in the mill working days, but then none of the buildings are now currently used as mills, so we've got that point. It's not really interfering with the character, but I don't know. As I say, I have a sort of interest. I'm looking into others to consider things.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
At the same time, I think it's a light touch.
Yeah,
I think it's positive for the businesses, isn't it, around there? But the only thing I did notice was that it's only accessible on those steps, isn't it? wouldn't really understand how disabled that people would access it really.
I think probably if you're talking about wheelchair access, I don't think that would be possible because the steps are there because of the flood, and you can't put a break in the flood, so it's, they've got to get over it. Unless you put a very large system of ramps in, which would be very intrusive.
We ought to focus on heritage matters. Ian.
Sorry?
We ought to focus on heritage.
Yes, I
matters.
realise that. But I just think as a community, we've got to make a name of it.
Yeah, no, understood. David's correct. It's the other side of the flood walls.
I'm sure there's a way around it if that's it.
Okay. More impact, I guess, but yeah, okay. Any other comments?
I think when we walked along there, it didn't seem to have the, it was sort of muted, and it seemed to blend in with the rest of the mill buildings. So we actually thought it got a really lovely feel to it. It didn't impact on the mill buildings at all.
Okay.
So we'd be for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no objections at all.
I would just add that it's all reversible.
Yeah.
And therefore it causes all negligible harm. And again, I'm supportive.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So that's no objection on the grounds that it's been fairly carefully handled and it is eminently reversible. So no objections, thank you. Chloe, that takes us on to the next one, 56R.
You'll see 56 in the Struts Park Conservation Area. Visual has, you can see, demolition of an existing rear outbuilding, erection of single story rear extension, installation, replacement front door and windows, and installation of an overlight, PV panels, and 2 sun tunnels together with an source heat pump to the rear. So you'll be aware this is the property. You'll note that instead of replacement, it's actually in front of the existing entrance. So the door is nearby, which will finish. So see the as you can see goes on. I suppose in terms of impact, is the proposed solar panels to the front, rear and side elevations. So the extensions to the rear, which you can't visually see from the front. There is obviously an Article 4 direction controlling materials to the front roof slope and changes to windows in the plantation needed for those works. The windows are slim double glazed units in timber, and it's a proposed 5-panel door to match that at 62 Arthur Street. There's the plan showing the changes in door, front door position and the extension to the rear.
Okay, thanks, Chloe. So, terraced house in the conservation area. The applicants are seeking to replace windows with a timber frame and a special conservation glass solution. Replace the timber, replace the front door. There's a fairly modest extension at the back, and then PV photovoltaic panels on the front slope of the roof, the rear slope of the roof, and the sort of side facing section of the rear roof. Comments, please.
Have we got a protocol for this conservation area regards roof panels?
I think there's a presumption against, certainly on front-facing roofs.
Yeah, I just thought there was.
I don't think there's any precedent for it, so.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, if that's what we've always said in the past, I suppose we can really only support the ones at the rear.
yeah, indeed. Yeah, and I think it's should have said it's laudable in that they are seeking to, introduce a host of measures to make the property more energy efficient and prolong its life and all of that. But so by definition, there's quite a lot of PV proposed.
Apart from that, I have no objection at all.
But I think, fair comment. Anybody else?
Same comment.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they could get any on the extension.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm surprised that the occupants didn't come to the council to ask for advice. So they must have not done that regarding the solar panels. Did they not come to you?
No.
Yeah.
It's possible to get panels that are like tiles
It is,
redoing the roof.
yeah.
But I'm not quite sure. Are these tile roofs or
The tiles.
they are tiles?
Also, it's later.
They won't, because they wouldn't
Yeah.
look like traditional.
Yeah,
Perhaps so we really perhaps ought to have a view on if somebody did come forward with that kind of proposal. We should have a view really.
yeah. I mean, we had a similar situation on Friargate recently, last committee or the one before. Same thing with
Yeah.
PV all over the front face, and that was you couldn't support that. So.
Set up the room.
Oh yes. Okay, so so on that basis, I mean, I think we should be appreciative of the fact that they are looking to introduce a host of measures, the bulk of which are entirely appropriate for the conservation area. But we think that the PV on the front facing roof slope is not something that the committee can support. If that can be communicated back to them, thank you. Takes us on to the last one. Thanks, Max, if you don't mind. We'll try and remember to bring you back in.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, Lindsay, just to be absolutely clear, so the PV on the front roof slope we feel is harmful to the character and appearance of the conservation area. We'll just slow house then, Chloe, thank you.
People are moving to the more temporary permission some years ago for a lead-free replacement on the flat roofs, which was granted as a temporary solution to make sure it wasn't really washed out when lead was stripped from the lid. So just to remind you of that. The proposal is to reslate, so remove the existing slate from the roofs, which are different sizes on different parts of the roof. The structural survey states that the timbers are in good condition, as you'll see in the application, and reinstate on-site reclaims and off-site reclaims of those to remove them. We do mention the Latster roof. It's not something main timbers are going to supposed to be, and instead of the lead-free option, they're looking at reinstating the also. So you'll see in these photographs So with the ceilings underneath. So the trees. So you see the plan of the rooms and the different slopes and sizes of slates and the amount. And we think they can salvage, which is about 70%. The detail that we've submitted is by insulating the inside of these rooms. Obviously, this is just an application for the rebriefing, not for the conversion. That those are being worked up at the moment. I understand some amendments to the previous approved scheme and they'll be submitted shortly. It's in the summary.
Okay, you done? Got it? Thank you. Yeah, so grade 2 listed building in a pretty poor state. So good to see that there are some proposals to actually fix the roof on a more sort of permanent basis. So replacing the slate roof, unfortunately that detail doesn't speak of slate roof covering, so that must be a bit of an anomaly. But in essence, the idea is to put new insulation to underdraw the existing rafters with insulation and to put some insulation in between the rafters and then counter battens and then battens, then slate. So the net effect will be a slight increase in the height of the roof, but it's sort of negligible. So I don't think is affecting any sort of details around the eaves, but we can really see information to confirm that. But in essence, it's a roof replacement, with including salvaged slate where possible. So and redoing the temporary lead work in actual lead. So that's the proposal. Any comments?
Just very welcome to see this building being brought back into, it's starting to receive some attention. That sounds appropriate.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I cannot support that application. Yes.
Okay, so that's no objections, and I think pleased to see some meaningful proposals that will safeguard the building. So thank you.
To go and get bags.
Sorry?
To get bags.
Oh, yes, please, if you would. Yeah. Thanks. I'll just wrap up. Okay, welcome back, Max. So I think that concludes all the matters for discussion this afternoon. So I'd like to thank you all for your attendance as ever, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.